Hey, we are back for another story time. It is so late. Somehow I slept through my alarm. And I didn't know at the time, and I was honestly going to try to go back to sleep and wait for my alarm to go off. But then I'm like, oh, you've got your ice shake and espresso sitting in the fridge waiting for you. And I'm like, ooh, I should get up and get that. I've been wanting to get one for about a week now, but the timing has never been all right. I had all the ice taken out of it so it wouldn't melt in the fridge, and I was so looking forward to it. Oh, I didn't even mention, I did color this last night. It looks better than it did last night. It's not out exactly how I'd hoped it was going to turn out, but it is what it is. And I also did our vomit card. Very exciting, right? Okay, so let's get to the story that we have on the table. Last night when I noticed that when I put this down, it was pointing to some part in Canada, so that might be important for the story. The Midas Touch, as you know, is about a king who wanted everything that he touched turned into gold, right? And the meaning of that is success. Everything was successful and prosperous. But unfortunately, he didn't have any forethought for his wish because he couldn't even hug anybody without that person turning into gold. And so if you love someone and you want to hug them, you're going to turn them into gold, and then you're going to like not have that person anymore. So that could be important to our story. Let's keep that in mind. We've got the number 7, and we keep getting this 7 all this week. I think we've gotten it, what, like 5 times, 6 times? So if we're going to equate that to like maybe the slot machine, if anyone plays the slot machine, I don't, anything in moderation, right? Don't go overboard. There are service lines that you can call and contact if you do have an issue with gambling. At least I know they have one here in California. If I can remember, I will go ahead and post that. Okay. So it could have something to do with a winning, like winning a nice size or a nice chunk of money or something. As we've also been saying, it's a spiritual number. Isn't it spiritual provision? Spiritual fulfillment, a divine cycle, spiritual awareness. Signifies the seeker's wisdom and introspection, philosopher, analyst, looking for hidden truths and working memory capacity. And it's also the day of rest. Now, I took a partial day of rest, I guess, today by waiting on that alarm to come off, and it never came off. Or actually, I think I remember it went off last night and I turned it off. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Here we are. So, and it also could deal with someone who's in their 70s. Or it can also have to do with Life Path 7. We have an 8 here as well. Someone could be 78. Anywho, that person is questioning all of those things. Maybe they are, look at the 3 monkeys and the 3 ghosts and ghouls on either side of the celebration. There could be like 6 people, maybe even 7 people, because, you know, the doll has to have some fun too. Not necessarily, you know, I guess the representation should be able to have some fun. They probably bring it with them and they just don't know. This is happening to someone and they don't know it's happening to them, but they're invited to the parties and stuff. So we've got our little no evil, questioning no evil. Like, let's take a deeper dive into this. Is there truly no evil happening here? Do we have the brackets here? No. But remember, in previous stories, there were details that were taken out of the storyline, and people were trying to assist these people or person based on the story that they were told. They didn't have all the details in those stories. So here we are. Someone is questioning the fact that maybe there's something that is outside of the story. There's more to the story that they haven't been told. Or they could be seeing everything, hearing everything, and being a part of the conversation about everything. But they're denying the fact that it's even there. They don't speak on it. It's kind of like knowing that I guess knowing that people steal stuff and you just don't say anything about it. Right? But the unfortunate part of that scenario is your integrity now has been purchased. And there's nothing that you got for it but bad karma, which we see down here. Karma always comes around. So, anywho, I think there was a quote by someone who said that, who was that? Who said that? The greatest evil isn't the act it's done, but not saying anything about it, or allowing it to continue, I guess. Something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Now I've got two things. Okay. So remember they were having this celebration and they were scattering the evidence. They were throwing the evidence into the fire, trying to burn it up and try to get rid of it and whatnot. We have this cake out here again. They're just having a good old time. And it's not a birthday. Right? They could be even celebrating the fact that someone's no longer here anymore. That's dark. But I'm here to tell you that these ghosts and ghouls, they all know what's going on here. They see everything that happens. Just saying, when we pass, our energy is still here. I on those NDA groups, and I read about people's experiences, and I know that science says that it could just be that the body's last ditch effort to hold on or whatnot, and it sees the light and it's all just biological. But these people all have similar stories of what they experience while they're gone. There was a lady and she was gone 14 minutes on earth, but it was 5 years in the spiritual world that she was gone. Now, if we can do the math, we could probably find out what God's timing is. Isn't that an interesting thought? Anywho, so people who have passed on see everything that's going on. They see them celebrating. They see them ignoring the truth. They see them even asking questions. They see them contemplating all these things. They see them not wanting to get involved for those who are not getting involved. They see all this little voodoo that they're doing on people and they are just flabbergasted about it. They're like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They see people boozing it up because we've got our spirits card here, and I wanted to do this last night, but after that hopscotch happened, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just ruining these cards. I can't do it. So we've got our spirits card. They're boozing it up while under the influence. They are doing this little pin magic here. Trying to attach things. This is their attachment card. Trying to attach things to this little lucky ladybug. The one that eats aphids. Right? The ones that they are nervous about. There's a word for it. Intimidated. This little ladybug that they're intimidated by. Why are they intimidated? Well, she speaks with authority, probably. Not intentionally. It probably is just the way she comes across. I know as far as like myself, we had a doctor's appointment with a family member of mine, and the doctor was like, "Oh, wow, she's quite intimidating, isn't she?" And my family member was like, "No, not really, because my family member grew up with me. They know me, so they know that it's just how I speak. And the way you interpret the way that I'm speaking, that is on you. If you have something to hide, maybe you might get intimidated. I don't know." I've also walked into many rooms where people just did not like me, and it was, I don't know why. Maybe because I was happy-go-lucky, and they weren't happy-go-lucky, so they didn't like that. Just saying. I know I was almost 200 pounds once, and when I'd look at people who were around my weight bracket, I'd be mad at them. I'd be like, not mad at them, but I'd be like, oh my gosh, how could they do that to themselves? And I realized that weight could be a medical issue as well. Mine was because I didn't want to go out and I did not want to work. I didn't want to walk. Because it would take me at least an hour a day for however long to lose the weight. And quite honestly, I didn't want to. And I didn't even realize that I even was the weight that I was, other than the scale telling me I was. So there's that. But so I could totally understand the perception or the perspective of somebody who is looking at someone and projecting their own thoughts and feelings about it on those people. And they're innocent people. They don't deserve it. So I find it interesting now that I've lost the weight, and then I gained the weight, like partially back, and then now I'm losing the weight again. I totally understand the cycle, and I totally understand the mindset behind it. Again, there's a problem there, but you just don't even pay attention to it. Maybe this means that there's somebody who knows there's a problem with someone that they know who's drinking. Drinking. And maybe they are seeing or knowing that there's a problem with this person doing voodoo or witchcraft on someone. They see the problem. They see what's going on. But because of the benefits it brings, they probably go ahead and just party along with everybody else. Like, where's this money coming from? And they're like, well, I don't understand where this money is coming from, but it's coming from somewhere. And it's like, do I really care? Because I just want to go ahead and party along. But they know what they're doing. They know they're doing all this stuff to this poor innocent person who is going to speak their mind and, get rid of the aphids. Or not get rid of the aphids, but they're going to nourish themselves with the aphids. That's a better way to say it. Because I know anything that I've been through, I have been able to grow from it and get stronger. It actually has boosted my creativity. I guess they call that transmuting the energy. So, let's get back to the story. Interesting how your thoughts or your stories lead into another explanation or an explanation or a better understanding or details. Sometimes when you live it, you understand it better. That's what I was saying. It becomes a universal issue, right? When you experience it, now you understand other people who have experienced it also. And maybe that was the whole reason for all of this activity to happen. For this ladybug to understand a universal problem. It's not just them. And I can guarantee you, and I said this in previous videos, if you're experiencing something or dealing with something or you've done something or your personality, part of your personality is something, I can guarantee you you're not the only person in the world that it's happened to. As much as we want to think a ladybug landing on you is the greatest thing in the world, it happens to other people too. You know what I mean? But still, celebrate the fact if a ladybug lands on you, because that means that good luck is coming. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. Magnet. Magnet for universal karma. A magnet for these kinds of situations, perhaps. a magnet for judgment. As I was saying earlier, constantly judged by people. And I'm like the nicest giving person in the world. Not in the world. Let me take that back. But you know what I mean. I'm a nice and generous person. I'm kind, I'm understanding, I'm empathetic. I'm forgiving. Have a huge heart. All of that stuff. I can't be stubborn. But I'm stubborn and loving also. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a good thing and it's a bad thing. So these people doing all of these things are creating universal judgment for themselves and attracting this karma to themselves for the long haul. You don't just do things and think that it's not going to stick to you. Infinity, it's a masculine action, doing. It's an action word. The 8th house, 8th decade, meaning it could be someone who's in their 80s, or it could be August. August is coming around the corner. So what, 6 months from now? Then we've got our gloves, our boxing gloves, and we've got our weightlifting gloves, and we've got our little thievery gloves here. They're fighting. They're fighting. They're in this karma and they're fighting. Measure of standard. They're fighting against this measure of standard. And maybe they think that they just cannot compete. They cannot compete. They don't measure up. But you know what? If you want to finish the race, you just go get training. Find a mentor. Get some help. But this card says completion. Completion, finished. So something is done. It's slow moving, but balance and justice is on the way. This is also the Libra card. It's an open and shut situation. No more juggling. Or it's open and shut that they've been juggling this diamond or diamonds or some kind of wealthy resource. They've been juggling the pressure because diamonds are made under pressure. This is going to be a block of coal with diamonds in it. And they've been juggling the treasure, which would be diamonds, right? This great find that they found. Spiritual intervention is on its way. Someone is intervening. Now, they could be intervening with this whole treasure found, or they could be intervening with this person's witchcraft and drinking of spirits so heavily. There's some kind of intervention coming from the heavens above. Someone is reaching out and they're going to help. I didn't even realize we had this 2 here. Again. Also, 7 can be July. Because before I went on that tangent about the whole gambling thing. This comma also looks like a 9, I noticed. So the person could be 29 years old. Could be 2 people involved. But then we've got the other 6, 7 up there. So it could be up to 9 people. Confirming we've got almost looking like a 9 here. So I'd say that there's probably about 9 different people involved in this whole charade. There's a couple who is going to, it's a lot of money here. Commas separate the dollar sign, right? You get your first comma at least at 1,000, so it's at least up to $9,000 or more. We've got the underside of a butterfly's wing, so it has to do something with rising above. Whomever this main couple is, they're trying to get this other person to come over to their side. Or possibly the spirit world is trying to get someone to come over to its side. This is also a transformation card. Rainbows are about promises. I really like this, how the card, how the clouds are done there. That's really cute. Promise, beauty after a storm, light prisms catching the light, sky above. Beauty after a storm, considering this is so dark and dreary. But the moon is there, so it's illuminating what's going on in this transformation and everything else. It's illuminating the fact that somebody wanted to bring someone over to their side. Perhaps it's the ladybug they wanted to bring over to their side. Perhaps all of this stuff that they were doing it was something bringing bad situations or troubling situations or hard situations onto this person was their way of making this person come over, because they were strengthening their chain on their side so they couldn't break through it, so that way they would have to come over to the dark side. And I'm only using this as the dark side because it is kind of dark and dreary. So they were hoping that all these measures and all these things that they were doing and all this stuff, all this fighting with them, all the little spell work, magic and stuff they were doing under the influence with the spirits, they were trying to attach all of this to this ladybug. Trying to make it so they have to deal with all of this negative karma. Even though it wasn't even stuff that she had done, they're attaching their own karma that they created onto this person. I guess that would be like a... what is it called? The switch? The life switch? Destiny swap or something like that. But in this case, they were taking everything that they were doing and they were attaching it to this ladybug. They wanted to bring her over into their little team. Their side of the team. But now we have this rainbow and this promise from this man who allows women to fill him up. She gives him the eggs so he can go ahead and incubate them and birth them. He wants those eggs because he finds them. He finds that it's going to bring him luck and make him lucky if he does so. Or the promise could be that this man is actually bringing some luck. He could be bringing some luck because he got educated on all these little childhood playground great games that people play. Oh, and chalk. What happens when people pass away at part of a crime scene? They outline them with chalk, right? To show that the place was there. Or maybe, I don't know. Is that just in the movies? So someone's getting educated on these things. Maybe they're going back to basics on whatever happened here. Struggling with self-love here. Love me not. Because if you have self-love, you're not going to do anything stupid and make stupid decisions, especially by doing voodoo under the influence of spirits. Be mindful of that. That's what they mean. Like, you can't truly love anyone else unless you love yourself. That's what they mean by that. They're questioning something. Piece by piece, they are questioning if it's true, if it's not true. Do you or don't you? Did you or didn't you? I'm going to keep this as the Midas touch is pointing to Canada. There's something or someone in Canada that needs to have some kind of attention to. There's something going on perhaps there that looks really, really great. really prosperous and really successful, but it's a curse. It's not what it seems. The wrong wish was made. There was no forethought. They didn't think it through. Maybe someone needs to travel there to figure it out. With the Universal card, I'm having the thought that this is not something that is just isolated in Canada. It's universal. I had mentioned before that I had no idea that spell work was a real thing that people really did in like normal society. I had no idea. Until about, what was that? 2020, no, it wasn't 2020, it was 2023? 2022, 2023. Whenever I took a leave of absence from work. That was one of the layers to the reason why I had to take a leave of absence, because I learned something that I had no idea that it even had happened or even occurred. I was shocked. And I was confused. I'm like, what? Just saying. But let's keep being this one. The lucky one. Let's be the lucky one that everyone wants to look at. Not because we want to be looked at, but just because we're so humbled and so grateful and just so feeling lucky by the way that we see the world as a good place. And we're not weighed down. Treasure can be awful heavy, right? Especially when it's filled with diamonds. And the pressure, so we're not weighed down by that pressure. We're not weighed down by the wants of the world. Majority of people think that if you've got money, if you've got treasure, then of course everything's just perfect in your life. But I can guarantee you there's people with money who are just not happy people. They're still miserable. And I can also guarantee you that these people, in their boredom and in their misery and in their sadness, they will create situations, especially sad situations, that are going to look like karma to innocent people, just so they can fight their way through it. And they find it funny. They seriously laugh at the sorrows and the pressure and people having to fight through poverty. These are people in a place of high rank. They're rulers. And I can guarantee you there's way more than 9. There could be 29, there could be 78,000 people if we're going to add that comma into it. I don't know how many people there are. Again, it's not a thing that I'm educated on. I just know they exist, where they actually do toy with people's lives for entertainment purposes only. With that being said, let's close out this reading and we will start a new one. Thanks for being here.